The CEO stared at her resume, ready to toss it aside like the others. She had no degree, no experience, and nothing impressive on paper, until he noticed the folded piece of paper attached with a paperclip. A handwritten letter. Curiously, he opened it. And by the time he finished reading, his hands were shaking, and tears blurred his vision. He whispered, "Get her in here. Now." Story begins. It was a rainy Monday morning when Ayla Khan, a soft-spoken young woman in her early 20s, stepped into the grand lobby of Eminent Corp., a towering glass building that stood like a monument of success in the heart of the city. Ayla didn't belong there. Or so everyone told her. She wore a simple, faded shower camise and held a small cloth bag clutched to her chest. She didn't have high heels, a blazer, or even an email address that looked professional. But what she did have was something more valuable: hope. And a story no one had heard yet. The receptionist, a woman named Tanya with sharp red nails and sharper eyes, looked her up and down and smirked. "You here for a delivery?" "No. I came to apply for the assistant position," Ayla replied softly. Tanya laughed out loud, making sure others around could hear. "Honey, we're a billion-dollar company. You think you can just walk in here dressed like that and get hired?" Ayla stood her ground. "I know I don't look like the others. But I have a letter for the CEO. Please. Just give it to him." Tanya rolled her eyes. "Mr. Hasher doesn't read letters. He has 200 emails an hour and no time for fairy tales." Still, Ayla persisted. "Please. Just this once." Reluctantly, and just to get rid of her, Tanya took the brown envelope with Ayla's handwritten letter and her humble resume. "Fine. Don't expect a call back," she said as she dropped it in the bin labeled "Rejected Applications" behind her desk. But fate had other plans. Cut to the CEO's office. Hasher Mahmood, the CEO of Eminent Corp., was a man in his late 40s, known for his sharp instincts and colder-than-steel demeanor. Raised in privilege and educated at Oxford, he built the company from a small tech firm into a global empire. He didn't have time for sob stories. He made decisions with data, not emotions. That afternoon, while waiting for a board meeting to begin, he absent-mindedly went through the rejected resumes, something he hadn't done in years. Maybe it was boredom. Maybe it was something else. He came across a plain envelope. No fancy branding. No typed cover letter. Just a name handwritten in blue ink. Ayla Khan. Curious, he opened it. Inside was a resume, unimpressive by all business standards. No degree. Just a few odd jobs: waitress, school cleaner, home tutor. But then he saw the letter. And he began to read. The handwritten letter. "Dear Sir. I know you probably receive hundreds of applications every day from people far more qualified than me. I'm not here to compete with them. I'm here because I have nothing left to lose. My name is Ayla. I was raised by a single mother who worked 12 hours a day as a tailor to feed me and my little brother. She died 2 years ago from cancer because we couldn't afford treatment. Since then, I've taken care of my brother, working whatever jobs I could find. I never went to university. But I read every day. I taught myself Excel, English, and business basics using free Wi-Fi outside a cafe at night while my brother slept. I'm not asking for charity. I'm asking for a chance. One chance to prove that I'm worth more than a piece of paper can show. You see, when I was a child, I used to wait outside this building for my mother to finish delivering stitched garments here. She once pointed to your office window and said, "One day, you'll work up there." I want to fulfill her dream. Even if it means starting as your janitor. Please consider me. Ayla Khan. Back to the CEO. Hasher's hands trembled. Something deep inside him cracked open, a part of him he hadn't felt in years. He stood up and stared out the large window, the same window Ayla's mother once pointed at. His mind took him back to his own childhood. He too had once been poor. A boy selling mangoes on the street. But he had been lucky, a stranger gave him a scholarship. He had forgotten where he came from. And this letter reminded him. Without saying a word, he called his secretary. Find Ayla Khan. Today. 1 week later. Ayla was hanging laundry outside her small one-room home when she got the call. This is Eminent Corporation. Mr. Hasher would like to meet you personally. She dropped the clothes. Her heart raced. When she walked back into the building a week later, Tanya the receptionist went pale. You're back, she stammered. Yes, Ayla smiled gently. He called me. Inside the CEO's office. Hasher stood up as she walked in, something he rarely did for anyone. Miss Ayla, he said. I read your letter. And I owe you an apology. Not just on behalf of my staff, but also on behalf of every person who ever judged someone by their cover. Ayla blinked, unsure what to say. I don't want you as my assistant, he continued. Her heart sank. I want you as my executive apprentice. You'll work directly under me. Learn everything I know. And one day, you'll take this seat. Her lips trembled. Why me? Because you reminded me of myself. And because your mother was right, you do belong up here. Months later. Ayla transformed. She learned fast. She worked late. She gave her all. Hasher mentored her like a daughter. She eventually earned a scholarship to complete her business degree, funded by Eminent Corporation. And when the company launched a foundation for underprivileged girls, it was named the Ayla Dream Fund. Ending note, emotional and uplifting. In life, we often judge people by what's missing on paper, the degrees, the titles, the wealth. But sometimes, all it takes to change the world is a handwritten letter filled with truth, hope, and heart. So if you're watching this and feel like no one sees you, write your own story. Even if it's in ink and not gold. Because someone, somewhere, might just be waiting to read it, and break down in tears.